Hello and welcome back, everyone, to Bloodstained Ritual of the Night Hard Mode Fresh on Rocket Rabbit Commentaries. And in this episode, after successfully getting our ass kicked by Alfred, we decided to do a little bit of off-screen grinding in order to get a bunch of stuff that we needed. Specifically, we have slightly more HP, we have a different scarf, we've got a little bit better stats, we got some better equipment. We're actually running the speed build this time.
And we have a new hat. The Gunslinger's hat.
Yeah, Gunslinger's hat gives us a little bit more physical damage. The big thing that we have access to, however, is Acid Jet. As I said at the start of I also decided to go max out Spear Expertise and resist poison because yeah.
Come to see me, have you?
Oh, come back, did you?
Miriam,
Yeah. All right.
what are you doing here?
What are you doing here? Didn't I kill you already?
Yes, you killed us once already, but now we have slightly more power, so this should go slightly better for us this time.
My memory is a little hazy.
This sigil was not meant for you, but we are far enough from the castle that it can contain you here.
You know, you're at liberty to skip this part, Mr. Grant. We've already seen this
I was at liberty
dialogue.
to skip this part. Fuck this fight. Ahem. You'll notice that now instead of actually doing only 30 points of damage, now while he's got his double defensive damage up, we're now doing 50 points of damage with our spear spell.
Yay. And we actually poisoned him this time.
Yes, we actually poisoned him with Acid Jet. For those of you that do not understand what poison actually does in this game, allow me to explain it. What poison actually does in this game is it takes a set percentage of an opponent's HP down on each of its ticks. The set percentage is significantly lower on enemy monsters than it is on the players, but it is still a set percentage, which is why we're already in phase 2.
Yeah, Jesus. It took us like 5 minutes to get to this stage. In this take, it only took us 60 seconds.
Yeah. Poison is honestly one of the better status ailments that the player gets access to. It's still not great, but mostly because a majority of boss enemies are not actually affected by it. But those that are tend to be really affected by it.
It reminds me.
You'll notice, however, that we're still having huge problems actually closing the gap on him, specifically once the slow zones come out.
Right.
The actual issue that this fight has on hard mode is specifically the fact that he's attacking upwards of 3 times fucking faster than he was on normal mode. I have been told time and time again that it's 20% faster. Fuck that, it's 3 times faster. I swear to God it's 3 times faster because because my own limited perception of time makes me believe it's 3 times fucking faster. We still barely cleared this fight.
Yeah, for real. Well, you haven't been poisoning him.
No, he was poisoned. We got him to stage 2 from poison. Matter of fact, I think he still actually is poisoned. I have to see his character model again. But no, he actually is clear from poison at the moment. But how do I get to him in order to poison him, Mr. Cloud?
Yeah, because the slowdown is making it difficult for you to actually connect the target. Well, it's a little different than the Borderlands scenario I've been trying to bring up, where you start running into the flying robots that use evasion. They use blind spots in order to stay safe, but you can still damage them over time as long as you hit them with acid bullets. And you thought that the stone cure would not be effective.
No, it's not. I matched out a stone thaw in effectively 2 seconds. Stone thaw is not honestly a really good consumable for this fight. I would argue that the only status ailment consumable that is actually worthwhile for this fight is the Uncurse, and even then, the Uncurse isn't actually all that viable because
This power you have is even greater than I.
Suck my woman balls, old man.
The book.
That will never happen.
I have to make it happen.
I'm too cool to show my eyes anymore.
Our last chance.
And he waystones away. God damn it, Alfred, get back here! I'm not done stabbing you yet.
He's got plot protection. Teabagging
So very
his
frustrating. I
non-existent
spent
corpse.
everything. I even upgraded from the Gando Shizunori to the Lingyang Yu, which was stupidly difficult to do because getting diamonds at this point in the game is damn near fucking impossible. Yeah, I had to go back to Hall of Termination and do a little bit of additional map clearing so I could get the gauge glasses, just so I could figure out what I honestly needed in order to deal with this fight. I didn't have gauge glasses on for this fight, but I really should have. Anyway, that is in fact the hardest or second hardest fight in the entire game. It's not the most buffed fight for hard mode, for the record. The most buffed fight is one that we won't be doing for a while yet. But by defeating Alfred, we get access to this room, and we get Deep Sinker. We can finally stand underwater, Mr. Cloud, meaning that we can actually go collect those treasure chests.
Yay. I noticed that was the third time we had to enter that room. Is there a reward for entering it a fourth time?
No, Cloud, that's not the third time that we entered that room. It just looks like it's the third time we entered that room because the 3 rooms that had that layout look almost exactly identical. The southernmost room has got the portal to the DLC. The second one has got Deep Sinker, and the first one is the boss room.
And they all look like...
They all look exactly identical, but they're in different spots on the map.
Man, that's bullshit.
Another thing that I did whilst I was out is I decided to go and get Inferno Breath to effectively as high as we're going to get it for the playthrough. Now you'll notice that it covers about somewhere between a third and half a screen. No, when I'm actually using it, which is fucking amazing.
Da, da, da. Do, 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 do.
Hey, Volsha. Volsha actually have a relatively interesting spell that you need in order to get one of the most powerful directional spells in the game, Tis Wraith. Tis Wraith on itself is not honestly all that important, but it does upgrade into Tis Rosane. And Tis Rosane is stupidly important because it is a light elemental laser spell that, well, is a laser spell. And as such is awesome because it is a laser spell.
Hey, a laser? How come you don't have a laser, Alfred?
Look, I think one of the only things that would have made Alfred a worse fight is if he had actually gotten Tis Rosane. Because there are multiple enemies that have Tis Rosane, and my god, they're much more difficult because they have copies of Tis Rosane. But instead, Alfred just gets Vashia, which is the upgraded ice spell. And even that is actually enough. And even that is actually enough to be, quite a significant threat.
Okay.
Mostly because of how much of a screen it fucking covers.
Well, we got a tremendous feather in your gunslinger cap now, Mr. Gerdat. We did take out one of the most difficult bosses in the game. It was a pain in the ass. It did take multiple attempts. But now...
Yeah. And it took a bunch of grinding off screen to do, but yeah.
There's that much left. There's that much less in the game that we actually need to be, adequately prepared for.
Well, no, there's still a bunch of stuff that we need to be adequately prepared for, but this is one of the few instances where preparing for this fight makes the rest of the game significantly easier. Because if you're able to take down Alfred, specifically if you're able to take down Alfred without much difficulty, the rest of the game's difficulty from this point on it kind of plateaus at this point, to be perfectly honest. It will spike up again in exactly one area, but it will spike back down after that area because the big difficulty spike in that area is, well, it's environmental problems, not actually the difficulty that the enemies tend to present.
Right. The difficulty of getting through any particular situation is not necessarily proportional to the amount of time left in the game.
Right. I think that's the same axiom that they had for Cave Story towards the end, because Cave Story's Hell Temple is notoriously difficult, but it also not only happens at the very end of the game, it's skippable if you really want to. Are we ever going to do Cave Story?
Man, I've never even played Cave Story. You tell me.
I've never played Cave Story. The thing is, I don't know if I want to do Cave Story. Fucking Zephyr. I personally think that doing Cave Story would be interesting for the channel, but, I also don't know what version of Cave Story I'd want to do. And even if I did know what version of Cave Story I'd want to do, having not actually played it, I'd have to spend it like a month, you know, doing a preparation playthrough, because it, although is a relatively short Metroidvania, is still a Metro. It's not even really a Metroidvania so much. It has Metroidvania elements certainly, but they aren't honestly all that important to either the narrative or the gameplay loop.
So I have 2 questions. One, does it take place in a cave?
Yes, it does take place in a cave, but the cave that it takes place in is in the sky, so...
Okay, second question. Is it really a story?
There is a pretty significant story involved in it.
You got a cave
This ammunition recipe is very important, ha 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 ha, because I believe this is the one that allows you to know how the hell to make diamond bullets. Oh, no, that's the ultimate ammunition one. Potent is Potent the status ailments one? Potent is probably the status ailments one, actually. Yeah, thanks, Dolan Hammerheads.
Yeah. Yeah. I will keep you on the edge of the screen where you belong.
That's actually a very terrible spot to put the key balancer, specifically because he can hit you while you cannot hit him.
Well,
As
yeah.
I was just demonstrating there. It's very painful to get in that loop with Alistair. Alright, and go through this wall in order to find yet another Zephyr.
Hidden in the sand.
And the Traveler's Hat, which is just another cosmetic hat.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a cool cosmetic hat, certainly. It's, you know, it's effectively another dark cowboy hat.
Call this the Titanic hat. Because Miriam was able to impersonate a male, she was able to... She almost drowned on the Titanic.
That's not accurate, right?
It's based on a true story that some poor girl almost got left behind on the Titanic because they thought she was a man.
Huh.
Well, because the clothes make the person is especially true in the aughts and the teens.
Alright. So, from here, I think we want to actually go back down in order to do more scouting in this area, because we're trying to actually do a full clear of Hidden Desert while we're here, specifically because we don't want to come back here. Like, you'll notice that there's a shitload of these rooms that are just flooded with these Amy's. And as much as I like Amy as a name, flooding Hidden Desert with them was not a good idea. This is the only area in the game where Miriam has to deal with the slow status ailment, and it's explicitly because the Amy's are all over the place here. Nothing else in the game aside from Alfred can actually inflict Miriam with slow, so she never has to prepare for it otherwise.
Slow.
And as a point of fact, they know this going in because Miriam does not ever gain a shard that grants her resistance to slow.
So slow will always be just ass to deal with.
Yes, but specifically, no, because it's only asked to deal with whilst you're in Hidden Desert. It's the only area in the game where Miriam can actually get afflicted by slow, and it's also the only area in the game where slow is even remotely relevant. Honestly, the fact that we get a slow spell of our own in the Lethargy Ray is really cool, but it affects so few bosses that I never end up using it. Honestly, I don't even know which bosses it does affect. I know it affects, thanks specifically to the Aurora playthrough that we did, I know it affects both Bale and Alfred, but I don't know anyone else that the slow actually affects.
It can just make it a pain in the ass to complete platforming.
It's not platforming that slow's the big issue with, though. It's slow is honestly the big deal with dealing with enemies in combat.
What? But I heard Zangetsu had developed the ability to fly.
Yeah, Zangetsu can fly. This is something that we're never going to show off because I'm not going to do a Zangetsu mode playthrough. But yeah, Zangetsu actually starts his game off with infinite fucking flight. It's
Nah.
He
nuts.
says he's
Well, Zangetsu also has the distinction of not needing any character upgrades whatsoever.
That demon is my
Yeah.
I agree. Now, is there anything else you need?
How
Far
about a
too
better
busy.
hint than what he gave us? Because that hint doesn't actually tell us all that much,
What are you
Dominique.
looking to
Zangetsu
Oh,
is
God,
far too
we're out of
busy.
money.
Oh, we're gonna
And
have
we're
to
out
start
of
selling.
materials to sell for money.
Right,
Yeah, we're out of materials to sell for money too. Damn
Sell the
it.
flight feather.
No, I need those flight feathers to upgrade Optimizer, I think.
Sell the Ulfbert sword.
Many thanks.
I don't want to sell every copy of the weapons that I've got, specifically because good portion of the time I will remember that the weapons that you get access to tend to be crafting materials for other weapons later on in the chain.
So whatever you do, don't sell the Santa Claus hat.
No, the Santa Claus hat isn't even worth selling. It's not worth enough. And it's a luck item. I'm not going to sell a luck item. More monies.
It's good to see you.
All right, Johannes. What else are we looking to do? It looks like we're attempting to... Oh, right. We don't have the slimy leather to improve our deep sinker yet. Are we gonna attempt to start working on Augmentant or Augment Con?
Or Augment Mind.
No, we're not gonna do Augment Mind. Augment Mind is honestly one that will get off screen at the very end of the game, but only because we want additional mana regeneration off of it.
I'll go with this.
Resist petrification.
I'll go with this.
Unfortunately, even though we will actually get max out resist petrification, I think we're even gonna get it here, but
Stop back often.
not in this part. Oh well. Be safe, everybody.
And in the next part, money.